Welcome back. I finally had time to watch and review Sardar Udham. I promised I'd review more movies from India, and this one was a pretty good choice. Several of the commenters requested this film, and I really thank you because this was a really good movie. In the United States, Sardar Udham was released directly to Amazon Prime Video. As I don't currently have an Amazon Prime account, it took me a little longer than I wanted to see this film. Sardar Udham is the story of Udham Singh, an Indian revolutionary that lived between 1899 and 1940 when he was executed. He's best known for assassinating Michael O'Dwyer, the former lieutenant governor of the Punjab in India, on 13th of March 1940. That assassination was done in revenge for a massacre that happened in Amritsar in 1919, for which O'Dwyer was responsible. I'm going to start out by saying this movie is 2 hours and 40 minutes long, and it's not a action-heavy film. So if you're not into biopics that move fairly slow, it may not keep your attention, but just know that it's really intense, especially towards the end. It becomes really intense and it's really worth the wait to watch it all the way through. You do have to pay attention from the beginning of this film. It goes back and forth between the present and the past, and it can get a little confusing as to which time period you're watching. But it does go back and forth from his time in London to his past with the HSRA, which was a revolutionary group in India. The film opens with Udham being released from prison in India, but he's still under the watchful eye of the colonial authorities. He decides to get out of India and makes his way to Russia. He stays there for a while to lay low before boarding a ship to London. We get to see Udham's life in London as he takes on several jobs before making his way into a hall where O'Dwyer is giving a speech. It's at this point he assassinates him. From here you get more pieces of Udham's backstory. You find out that he's been working on this assassination for 21 years, and he has some very serious motivations behind it. You get to meet some of the people he's been working with and their interactions and conflicts. I'm not going to get too far into the plot of this movie because I feel like you really should watch it. It honestly reminds me a lot of the Spike Lee film Malcolm X starring Denzel Washington. There are a lot of similarities. Of course, there are some major differences, obviously, but there are a lot of similarities. They were both revolutionaries that had a very deep feeling of what was right and what was wrong, and who was responsible for the wrong. The British government wanted nothing more than to make Udham look like a crazed lunatic, lone wolf assassin. They didn't want him to be a martyr, and they did not want a revolution happening in India, especially since World War II was just beginning and they needed the Indian soldiers on their side. Udham is tortured for information, but he refuses to give up any of his friends. This makes the British government desperate, and they resort to coercing people into confessions, false confessions. Udham's convicted of the crime, which he never actually denied, but his reasoning for it is at the heart of this movie. Is it justified? The British Crown was responsible for killing hundreds, if not thousands, of people in an unprovoked massacre. Was he justified in his assassination of one person? The one person that was responsible. There's an absolutely heartbreaking scene in this movie after his conviction but before his execution, where he's basically explaining his reasoning for becoming a revolutionary. He was just a normal guy before this, but this particular incident with the massacre changed him. It's an extended look at the lead up, the massacre itself, and the aftermath of everyone scrambling to try to help the survivors, picking up the dead, while also still being concerned about being shot by the patrolling soldiers. The dreadful feeling this invokes is just compounded when you realize that this is a true story, and that things like this have happened all over the world in many different countries to many different people. And as an African American man, this movie really touched a nerve with me. When people are oppressed and they have nothing to lose, they're willing to give anything for freedom. And that's what this film is about. And it's an amazing look and an amazing journey. Yes, it's 2 hours and 40 minutes long, but it's definitely worth a watch. please, 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 if you have an Amazon account, give this film a watch. It's definitely worth your time. And then go back and look at the history. That was something else I had to do after watching this movie. I didn't want to just go on what I saw in the film. I did have to do a little bit of research, and I'm glad I did, because I had no idea about this. I had no idea that this incident ever happened. It's bad enough that these incidents occur. It's even worse when people try to erase them from history. So yeah, definitely 2 thumbs up for this movie. 9 out of 10. It's a great movie. Give it a watch. Thanks. Like, share, and subscribe.